If you've been working with WordPress for any time, no doubt you're familiar with this screen. This is where you work with your widgets. And on the left side here, these are the widgets themselves. And what you see here depends on the theme that you're using. And over here on the right side, these are the widget areas. Some people call this the widgetized sidebar areas. And this theme, which I'm using, is Generate Press. So it's got 10 different widget areas. And Generate Press is a very popular theme which has been installed on hundreds of thousands of WordPress sites. And if I click on this, here are where the individual widgets reside. And in this case over here, there's a widget over here and so forth. Let's say if I go over here to footer widget area 1, nothing. Okay, that's fine. And no doubt you've been familiar with the fact that you drag widgets into these areas. But all this is about to change. So what I'm about to show you is experimental, but it'll give you your first look at what's coming when it comes to widgets and the Gutenberg editor. So how do you find out what's going on? Well, you go over here to plugins and you'll see that I've already installed the Gutenberg plugin. So this gives us an advanced look as to what is probably coming to WordPress. So I am going to activate it. You'll see that the version I'm using is 10.3.2. About every week, a new version of the plugin is released. Now, keep in mind that the plugin is experimental, so you don't want to use this on a live site. But to test things out and to see what the future holds in store, well, this is the way you do it. Install the Gutenberg plugin. All right, now let's take a look at that widget screen. So I'm going to go over here to Appearance. I'm going to go over here to Widgets, and wow, totally different. It looks like Gutenberg because it is. You can see, let's just fold this up over here. Let's see if I can do that. And remember, this is experimental, so I expect things not to work as I'm demonstrating. Okay, perfect. And again, these are the same widget areas that we just saw a moment ago, but it looks totally different. And what's different about it is that instead of just using and dragging and dropping in widgets, we're now going to use the Gutenberg block editor. But let's look at some of the legacy widgets in here. So these are the widgets that, as they're calling them legacy widgets, I expect these to disappear, and you'll see why in a minute. And if I click on, let's say, search, the first widget over here, you can see it's in a box. And if I want to make an edit, well, I'm good to go. If I want to take a look at what it looks like, that's fine. And right over here on the right-hand side, it does say legacy widgets. And it also tells me what widget area I'm working in this case, the right sidebar. And if I scroll down a little more to see just one other example, let's have a look at categories. So if I click on category, again, edit, and I can just preview what it's going to look like. I can move these up and down. That is, I can move the category widget up or down, or I suppose I can drag it. Yeah, it looks pretty drag and droppable, so we'll just leave it alone. And that's fine. But that's not really the sexy part of all of this. That's not really the exciting part. Look what's coming. So I'm just going to click on an empty area over here. Footer widget 1, it's empty. And you can see the toolbar over here, right? But watch. So if I click on the inserter, I can now take a block and drag it into place. Now, if it doesn't work, again, it's experimental. So I'm just going to click, and there it is, with the toolbar. And I'm just going to put in the word heading. So this is very Gutenberg-y. And then I'm also going to put in one more widget just to show you that anything you can do, columns, group, cover block, all the blocks that you've been using with Gutenberg, they're now incorporated into the whole widget making experience. So I'm going to use an image right over here, perfect, and this will look really familiar. Go into Media Library, choose an image. Okay, perfect. And now you can see I have two different blocks that take up this one widget area, namely footer widget 1. And anytime I click on one of the blocks, of course, I get the familiar toolbar and the different settings over here on the right-hand side. Same thing here with the image. Okay, that should look really familiar. Another thing that will remain in place is this inactive widget. So anything let's say I use, but I don't want to totally get rid of, but I don't want to use on the site, I can just, let's say, highlight these, and with a little bit of luck, I can just drag them all down. Look at that. So this is going to be good. So I can just drag it into inactive widgets if I just didn't want to use it all together, or maybe use it for a future time. And this should be familiar too. Anytime you make any changes here, you're going to update. Okay. One other thing to keep in mind is that I suspect this entire widget screen is going to disappear, as that working with widgets is going to be incorporated into the Gutenberg page editor. So there won't be any need for this widget screen at all. For that, you'll have to stay tuned.